I am convinced that the day we study Kwame Nkrumah, Africa will never be the same.
Oof.
We woke up at the sound of gunshots. So I remember getting up, rushing to my mother's room, my heart boom, boom, boom. What's going on? And the sound was deafening, you know? That's the first thing that came to her, to send a message to Cairo that she's an Egyptian, she has 3 young children. Could they please do something so that we leave Ghana safely? When they are moving us from a tank to a jeep, they had the tip of the gun was on her nape. So she's sitting in the jeep in front of us, and
God.
we at the back. She's between 2 soldiers, and she thought something was going to happen.
Oof.
Yeah, and she screamed.
So as a 6-year-old, how are you processing everything as it's happening?
I was terrified.
Yeah.
I mean, I was crying from the moment we left the house. I think I honestly can say that I didn't stop crying till we got in the plane. From the moment our father began the independence struggle, he was attacked. If not vilified, then assassination attempts on his life. And when he came to power, attempted coup d'etats. There were always betrayers. 7 assassination attempts on his life, the first one in 1955, 2 years before independence. They didn't give him a moment's rest. We were lucky. We were lucky.
Honorable, welcome to the show. It is an honor to have you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes.
So, Honorable, I want to visit the day, February 24th, 1966. That's the day your dad was overthrown in a coup here in Ghana. You were just about 6 years old?
Yes, a few months short of my 6th birthday. Yes.
What do you remember from that day?
Oh dear, I remember everything.
Ooh, tell me everything.
I remember everything, at least what happened to us, the family.
Yeah.
Because as you can imagine, it was quite traumatic.
Yeah.
So by the time we realized something is wrong, there was this battle going on in the grounds of Flagstaff House. That's the presidential residence where we lived with our father. He, of course, as we know, was not in the country.
China, right? Yes.
He was on his way to Hanoi to broker a peace between Washington and Hanoi. He actually had proposals. He had proposals for a peace deal. The Vietnamese president at the time chose him. He nominated him. He said he's the leader he would want to negotiate. And he had deferred this trip 3 times. For 3 times. He didn't want to go because he had intelligence from Egypt, from other quarters, that it wasn't the right time to go. But at the end, Washington assured him that they will stop the bombing for some days, because there was a war going on. If you can.
Yes.
And so he decided it would be good for Ghana, it would be good for Africa, and it would be good for world peace, because there were a group of leaders who were the non-aligned movement who were talking about it. But even leaders like before that, even in the West, JFK, before had, if you hear what he was saying about the Vietnam War, it was almost very similar to what our father was saying. You know, war is not good, and it's not good for even smaller nations which are trying to develop. You know, we have that saying, when the elephants fight, the grass, is damaged. So anyway, mercifully, our father was not in the country. And we woke up at the sound of gunshots.
So this was early in the morning?
Dawn, yes, dark, still dark. Wow. The 3 of us, myself and my 2 brothers, we slept in the same room. So I remember rushing to my getting up, rushing to my mother's room, my heart, boom, boom, boom. What's going on? And the sound was deafening, you know. And I took one look at mother's face. But before I could say anything, she said, where's your younger brother? Because our youngest, Sekou, was 2 years old. So I rushed back to pick him up and come. And the three of us just found ourselves in our mother's room. And we heard her speaking on the phone in Arabic. She had the presence of mind to contact the Egyptian ambassador at the time. And she said that's the first thing that came to her, to send a message to Cairo that she's an Egyptian, she has 3 young children. Could they please do something so that we leave Ghana safely? Because she understood immediately what was happening. So she
knew what was happening.
It came to her, yes, immediately she knew what. And then...
was there anything that had happened before that gave her some sort of indication that this... You said she knew instantly what was happening. How did she know?
Okay, there was a gathering storm, as we would say. I mean, but in truth, from the moment our father began the independence struggle, he was attacked. If not vilified, then assassination attempts on his life. And when he came to power, attempted coup d'etats. There were always betrayers and machinations. I mean, you could see that when you look through his writings, when you talk to people who worked with him, when I speak to our mother, that he was harassed and attacked consistently. Of course, it got worse as the Cold War got more intense. Now you're talking about mid-late 60s. It got more intense. And as we moved from an politically independent country to a country that is trying to become economically independent. I mean, that's the real story, because you are asserting your independence in a way, in a very big way, you know. You want to build your industries. You want to do business with the East and with the West. His famous statement, we neither look East nor West, we look forward. Being a founding member of the non-aligned movement. So you could see that this was a leader who was taking a different path.
A bold stance.
Thank you, Sandra. And above all, his promoting African unity. And not just African unity, but a union government of independent African states. This is a novel idea. I think we skip over it. We think he was just saying African unity. No. He had clear proposals for how an Africa must unite. You can call it a federation today, but that was the idea. Not just a loose thing, agreeing on different agreements here and there. No. Proper political unity. Because according to him, that's the only way we are going to unite or integrate our economies, eventually our education, our social life. But it begins with a common political basis. So to answer your question, he was targeted. 7 assassination attempts on his life. The first one in 1955, 2 years before independence. Several assassination attempts on his life, on sometimes the lives of some of the relatives, his ministers, colleagues. So there was always danger. They didn't give him a moment's rest.
So your mom in that moment, hearing the commotion, just knew instantly.
Yes.
This is the day we feared. It's finally here.
Yes, it was too loud and it was...
So she makes that phone call. So then what happened after that?
We quickly start dressing up, just simple things, whatever we could find. And then suddenly the noise abates. But before that, she did something typical of a, let's say an African woman who believes, our father used to say we are spiritual beings. She asked us to pray. So we all knelt down. I remember our hands clasped, please, God, please protect us. So, and when we finished, she said something that only mothers can say. She said, you know something? Even if they fire at you, nothing is going to happen to you.
Ooh.
And as a child, that is, of course, great comfort. Your mother's saying that, you know. And then the noise abates suddenly, and we are told to a microphone we must leave the house with nothing, just the clothes on our backs. So we had our nanny spending the nights with us, and we got ready. They bundled us in sheets, white sheets, and we got into a car. And from that moment on till the end of the day, till we arrived at the airport, from that moment on, we were under, let's say, the mercy and directions of the soldiers, the coup soldiers.
Wow.
I mean, when I say the noise abated, it turned out that the presidential guard had laid down their arms. And we learned later that they were, let's say they were threatened that if they don't stop fighting, they are going to come for us in the house. So a decision was made that they have to lay down. They were ready to die.
Wow.
But they decided for our safety to lay down the arms, and that's how that battle ended. They surrendered, and we were taken to different Burma camp here. Long story. I've narrated everything in the book I'm writing. But anyway, we end up at the police headquarters, which looks just the same, Ring Road.
Wow.
Except it's nicely painted now, freshly painted.
The one in Accra.
Yes, Ring Road. Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. You went up the stairs. I remember very well. We were sitting up with the commander until the Egyptians, the embassy staff and the charge d'affaires, they came to take us to the airport, where we waited for an Egypt Air flight, just completely empty, just to take us to Cairo.
Egypt. Wow.
Yes, that was after a whole day of adventures, of course.
So as a 6-year-old, how are you processing everything as it's happening?
Yeah, I was terrified.
Yeah.
I mean, I was crying from the moment we left the house. I think I honestly can say that I didn't stop crying till we got in the plane. That was the moment I stopped. But out of sheer terror, I was terrified that they would separate us. They didn't harm us, truth be told. There were even young men who were scared. I could see them sweating, the hands trembling when they were holding, the machine guns. They didn't know what to do, half of them. But the scene was terrifying, of course. So that gave me a taste of, I mean, this was politics in the 60s, post-independence. I mean, this is what many nations had to go through in different ways. And we were lucky. We were lucky. I can't imagine if mother was not from another country. I don't know what would have happened to us.
Yeah.
I don't know where we would have been taken. So we even had an easier time than many who were left behind.
So you're crying. Your mom, what do you remember about, just going through that experience and going into the flight? What was her reaction?
I don't know where she got the strength from.
Yeah.
But she was so strong, composed too, I would say. Because at a certain point when they are moving us from a tank to a jeep, they had the gun, the tip of the gun was on her nape. So she was,
oh my
I mean, they were, they had
the gun pointed at her.
Just so she's sitting in the jeep in front of us.
Oh my
and
God.
We at the back. She's between two soldiers and with the gun pointed. But she was composed. The only time I saw her slightly, disoriented was when they were ordering us to get out, and they were holding the guns, so they were just pointing at my older brother, and saying to get out. And she thought something was going to happen.
Oof.
Yeah, and she screamed, and there was some commotion, but
My
I
God.
don't think they would have harmed us.
Ooh.
So it was quite traumatic, and obviously for children, for her too, I'm sure. But she was so composed and strong. I think she held herself together,
Yeah.
as mothers do,
Yeah.
of course.
For you all. For you all.
Yes, for all of us.
I can imagine what that experience it must have been like. So how did your life change after that day?
Drastically.
Yeah.
Drastically, because it was total uprootedness. You know, you're taken from your familiar surroundings. We even had a homeschool in Flagstaff House, my brother and I, my older brother and I. So anyway, total to a different culture, different people. The Egyptians were very kind. I mean, I keep on saying to this day, we would not have survived.
Yeah.
Mentally, even without that arriving at a place which became our home.
Yeah.
And that's, again, to a large extent, it's thanks to the good friendship that our father enjoyed with President Gamal Abdel Nasser. It was a political friendship, personal friendship. You know, there were allies, both bold, strong men, anti-imperialist, anti-colonialist. They spoke the same language, and they also, like Egypt, like most of North African countries, they were instrumental in the founding of the OAU. A lot of people don't know that. So when I hear from some of us Africa say, no, North Africa, leave it, I say, well, you don't know the history.
Right. Yeah.
North Africa was essential in the founding of the OAU, which is now the AU, but in addition, they helped many liberation movements to gain independence. I mean, when we arrived in Egypt, who do we find? Who did we get to meet? The family of Patrice Lumumba. Because in 1961, Egypt stepped in also to take them. They sought refuge in Egypt. And they even stayed longer than us. So their Arabic was better than us because they went to university there. We returned during the Achampong's regime. We returned in late 1975. But Lumumba's family stayed on.
They stayed longer in that.
So, yes. So there we meet Lumumba's family and we get to know them. And imagine Lumumba's family and Nkrumah's family are speaking fluent Arabic together. I mean, it's not a coincidence. It's because these leaders saw eye to eye, worked toward, they had a shared vision. And of course, I think Egypt seemed like the right place for them to seek refuge after the assassination of their
Your
father.
dad, he was a prophet, right? You mentioned when you look at the turn of events and how everything happened, it's almost like he knew the future, you know, and he was ahead of his time in so many ways.
Absolutely. I mean, you said the right word because that's the conclusion I've come to. I mean, yes, he's my father, my biological father, but in reality, he's my leader. And he is a prophet because he came, he surveyed the scene, he acted, he didn't just talk and write, but he entered the arena. He sacrificed everything for his life work. He didn't think about himself. He decided not to own anything. He didn't amass wealth. All this was deliberate. It wasn't by chance. He wanted to lead by example. For him, politics was seriously a way of changing the destiny of Africans everywhere. And he gave us a blueprint. So he didn't just practice politics, but he gave us a blueprint and a lot of advice. And he said it in many ways. He spoke it in his speeches. He put it in his books, over 15 books. Aside from the pamphlets, a lot of people don't know that, obviously because his whole thought was suppressed after the illegal overthrow of his government. But I am convinced that the day we study Kwame Nkrumah, Africa will never be the same.
Oof.
To never be the same. And you have the blueprint, not just for development, what a development state should do.
Yeah.
I mean, if you hear economists today or thinkers talking, not just Africans, people like Jeffrey Sachs and others, you would think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Kwame Nkrumah. Let's listen to them, because that's the same thing our father was saying 50, 60 years ago.
Yeah.
So and the blueprint for African unity, I haven't seen anything like this till today.
Yeah.
I'm yet to see it. So I would like the younger generation to revisit and study it. And like I always tell my friends, we don't have to agree. You don't have to agree with everything Kwame Nkrumah said or wrote, but familiarize yourself with it. You know, that's the first port of call. Familiarize yourself and then see what we can do with it.
Yeah.
Because it's not by a coincidence for Ghana, for Africa, to have a leader of that caliber passing by the last century. It's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
You know, they came to deliver, and they are the future, because they can still deliver us from the confusion we are in.
Yeah.
You know? So
And
you're right. Prophet is the right word.
And I think, Samia, a lot of what you're saying has to do with the fact that we don't own our narrative. And that's why I'm here to do this sit down with you, because for so long, Nkrumah's story, especially in this, you know, social media age, where everyone can pick up a camera and go on social media and say whatever they want. Our stories have been filtered through Western lens. They've been told by everyone else but us. And I think particularly for this generation, it is so important for us to use the tools that are available to us to reclaim that narrative. And that's why I'm so thrilled that you are doing this. I'm thrilled that you're writing a book, which we're going to talk about. I can't wait to dig in. But I want to go back to after the coup. So when did you hear from your father again? When did you talk to him and hear his voice again?
Good. I mean, that same day, at the end of the day, so it was maybe midnight in Cairo or beyond, he was in China, because that's when he heard the news. I mean, the Chinese were so respectful. They received him.
Yeah.
They didn't tell him the news immediately at the airport. They waited until he rested in his room before they came to tell him. So anyway, so when he received the news, then he calls us. He knows we are in Cairo by then. So he calls us. And why do I remember this? Because it's one of the most memorable things that he told me that I remember, because he spoke to each and every one of us, obviously trying to calm us down or reassure us. And his voice was calm, soft. But when it was my turn, he said, Yaba. He always called me by my Ghanaian name. He said, Yaba, I don't want you to be afraid. And there I'm thinking, he must have known that I was crying the whole day. Oh, I told him. But not knowing, I think he was giving me a bigger message, because he kept on saying, Yaba, be strong. Don't be afraid. I don't want you to be afraid. I want you to be strong. And I took this to heart, you know, to the extent that our mother always used to say, you are the strong one. You are the strong one. But so anyway, so he got in touch with us that same day. And of course, he goes to Conakry, Guinea to live there. We are in Cairo. We never meet because, what was told to us was that it was not safe.
Not safe.
Don't forget, he was a wanted man in Ghana. There was a price on his head. There were attempted assassination attempts in Guinea. There was an invasion in 1970. They almost got him, Sikutori, Cabral. I mean, it was a miracle they were not in the same place, not even in their houses. So anyway, we don't see each other for those 6 years. But he writes not frequently. These are the 60s, you know, there was not like the internet and
where you could email. No emails.
Yes, so you had to use the old phone. So not much, and of course Guinea was under tremendous pressure also, but that's how we communicated. Some letters, once in a while, a phone call.
Oh my God. Tell me something memorable that you remember from one of his letters to you back then.
Oh, his letters were very practical. He was most concerned about us. Are we eating vegetables? Are we?
But make sure you eat your vegetables.
Yes. Are we being good to mother? Yeah. And we were all like him. We were sprinters. He was a sprinter. And we all somehow became sprinters. So no, but I remember when I was up till the age of 14, nobody could beat me with 100 meters.
Really?
He was also about sports. Yes. Are we doing it? So his letters, I must admit, were very practical. I think he didn't want to bother us with the challenges. We didn't even know when he was sick. So I think he just wanted to help us focus on our new life and how to get on. I mean, this is how we were brought up this way too. Even in Ghana, he never spoiled us. He didn't like our mother dressing us, me especially. Of course, I'm the only girl there. All the time, new clothes. I remember him saying, "Don't spoil them. You don't have to have these new eggs. You don't have to eat eggs every day. People are not." So we were never spoiled.
Yeah.
So also in our dealings, he was very practical. Mother too. And
at that age, did you understand the magnitude of who your father was to Africa, to the world, or to you? Was he just dad? You know,
not right away, but obviously he was never just dad, because I remember some of the visitors to Flagstaff House. I remember even the pictures. We had Che Guevara's picture there, Sheikh Ibrahim Anyas of the Senegal. I mean, it was a strange life from a child's point of view. So we knew that this is not an ordinary man. No, we knew it. He was also very busy. Yes, he would come and go, but he wasn't always there. So no, to answer your question, yes, very early on, we understood that, our father had something very important to do. And of course, as we grew up and became more curious and became a bit acquainted with his work, even though we were scared of politics and anything to do with politics, and even of Ghana, I mean, that was another drama when we were invited back, and we were terrified. I mean, we didn't even, I must confess, in late 75, we didn't even want to come, but our mother stepped in and said, "No, your father would want you to connect with this is your
home.
Your home.
Yeah.
This is your country. You have to come back, return, understand the culture, the people." That's what he would have wanted. So that's when, of course, we started understanding his
mission. Did you see your father again after the coup?
No, we didn't. Wow. And it was only 6 years. I say only because in the life of a nation, that's not too long, It's
take me back to the day that you heard the news, right? That your father had passed away. Do you remember that day and just the emotion? What did you feel?
Yes, of course. It was a very odd day, and like with many strange things in your life, you wonder why we didn't ask more questions.
Yeah.
Because ironically, early in the day, an official from the foreign minister of Egypt comes to tell us that our father is coming.
Oh, that he's coming home.
So there we are, we are dressed in our fineries. I remember exactly what mother was wearing, this beautiful dark pink dress. And then, by the end of the day, they come to tell us the bad news. So I remember getting up and just like, because but mind you.
You're expecting to see your dad And they tell you he dies.
Till today, from the shock, from everything that has happened after, I don't know why we didn't sit and talk, because everything happened quickly after that, coming to Conakry for the first funeral. Then our mother would come to Ghana for the second one. I mean, everything happened. My mother coming back, of course, collapsing from exhaustion when she came back from Ghana, and yes, total nervous breakdown. She couldn't leave her room for months. I mean, that was the only time, that was the first and only time I saw our mother weak. The shock, the realization that the man she loved, the man she looked up to and she was hoping to be reunited with at some point, it would not happen. So they were only together for 8 years, and mother was young, beautiful young woman. So I think that was, and of course she never remarried. She never wanted to. She never could. But to answer your question,
how do you marry again after marrying someone like Nkrumah, right? No one.
We all understand. Yes,
no one can cut it. No one cuts it after that.
Yeah. So.
Wow, but that's strange. I mean, why would they? So was that a setup? Why would they tell you your father is coming?
Look, I find it more surprising that we never looked into what actually happened. What happened? We never talked about it. We just became engulfed in that. Let's say the grief, the shock and grief of mourning for him. But don't forget, we had received a blow 2 years earlier when President Gamal Abdel Nasser died, also prematurely, very, very early. He was only 52.
Yeah.
Because he was like an uncle or a father for us. So he passes away in 70 and our father in 72. So already, things were looking a bit shaky, emotionally, at least for us. And anyway, so of course we accepted it, and coming to Guinea was a great education, because there we meet with Fidel Castro, with Sékou Touré himself, who was a great ally and friend, Cabral. I mean, all these, took us into a different world, and we were, I think they took the grief away by, being very busy, seeing all these leaders, all the people who worked, Miriam Makeba, she was with Kwame Touré, the African-American chap who worked with our father, and so many other people.